Hey, what's up, everybody? Hope you're doing great. And if you're into Fallout 76, then you're absolutely going to want to hear about this update that just dropped on February 9th, 2026, because it brought a whole bunch of fixes that many of you have been talking about for ages. The way this one rolled out, the servers went offline from maintenance, so Bethesda could apply all the changes that were lined up. And yeah, that offline period was a sign that something was finally happening in Appalachia. So the game went down on February 9th at around 10 a.m. US Eastern Time, and that kicked off the deployment of the patch that addresses a series of issues that have been bugging players for a while now. Now let's just talk about what actually got fixed, because that's what you all clicked for. First off, there was this really weird problem where if you had a C.A.M.P module skin applied, your build menu would just look completely empty. You know that feeling when you go to place something in your base and suddenly there's nothing there, even though you know for a fact you unlocked it? That was exactly what players were describing, and believe me, it was confusing. The update fixes that, so your build menu actually shows items correctly even when a skin is equipped on a module. Along the same lines, another C.A.M.P-related problem was fixed too. If you bought items from the Atomic Shop using Gold Bullion, they sometimes wouldn't show up in your build menu. That's frustrating when you spend real money or saved up bullion, and then they don't even appear where you expect them to. This update ensures those purchased items will show up correctly where they should, solving that too. Another thing that was fixed is something a lot of you have probably run into in PvE content. Grunt and Headhunt events would sometimes register enemies as only 1-star difficulty, even when they were much tougher. It wasn't just a display issue, it affected the expected challenge and loot balance, and now the enemy rating shows correctly, so the difficulty actually matches what you're fighting. And there was this one that I know a lot of builds rely on. Cryo status effect damage wasn't applying correctly to enemies. Cryo builds are fun and strategic, and when the status effect doesn't work the way it's supposed to, it throws off your whole approach. That's been corrected so enemies actually pick cryo damage properly again. One of the more niche but still important fixes deals with legendary mods, especially the reflex mod. There was a bug where it could allow players to have a 100% evasion chance, which meant unintended perfect evasion in combat. For those of you who love building high evasion characters, you know how silly it felt to be untouchable in situations where it really shouldn't happen. Bethesda addressed this in the patch, so the mod works as intended without letting things get out of hand. But here's the thing. Even with all these fixes, a few issues that players reported weren't fully resolved in this patch. Some players were talking about daily ops not giving expected rewards, and although the devs mentioned they're continuing to investigate that one, it wasn't part of this round of fixes, so keep that in mind if you're doing daily ops and not seeing the payout you expected. When you sit back and think about it, this is one of those patches that doesn't bring massive new content so much as it brings quality of life and functional fixes that actually change how the game feels day to day for a ton of players. Fixing build menus, status effects, enemy ratings, and items not showing up, those are things that impact almost everyone who logs in and goes out into the wasteland. And even though patches sometimes feel like they fix a few things at a time, you can tell the team was focused on addressing bugs that were genuinely affecting gameplay flow, rather than just cosmetic stuff. Personally, I played for a bit after the maintenance window, and the first thing I noticed was just how much smoother things felt when interacting with menus and building in my C.A.M.P. You know that almost subconscious frustration when something doesn't show up where it's supposed to? It's gone now, which is actually pretty refreshing. I spent way less time trying to figure out if it was a glitch or me just forgetting where my stuff was, and more time actually playing. And as for the cryo fixes, if you're like me and you enjoy experimenting with elemental effects to build combos for combat, seeing cryo actually apply damage properly just makes all that effort worth it. It's one of those small tweaks that doesn't make headlines, but you definitely notice the difference once it's there. Some folks were also talking about other outstanding bugs like weapon repair issues or VATS hit registration oddities. And while those aren't part of this specific Feb 9 patch, there's chatter in the community about them and how players hope they get attention soon.